excellent job. So on my behalf, I'd like to thank you most sincerely. And as Councillor Stramber said, it doesn't matter about the money, the amount you raise, it's about putting the input to help that particular charity. As you say, it's quite a thing to raise money, and I know how difficult it is. But on saying that, Mr. Chairman, I think it would have been nice if the Conservative group would have put the chairmanship out to, especially as we're coming to this particular thing with unitary, that the opposition would have been able to give the opposition the chance to be chair of this council. I know it may be in the Constitution, I'm not a constitutional person, but I think it would have been really, really good for the Conservatives to have done that. But with saying that, thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your input.
Thank you, Councillor Meredith. Right, can we have the vote of whether we agree that Councillor should be chairman? Right, now we swap over.
If we move straight on to elect the Vice Chairman, and I'd like to ask Councillor Smithers to propose Wendy Brackenbury.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations on your appointment. It gives me great pleasure in proposing Councillor Wendy Brackenbury for Vice Chair of Northamptonshire County Council for the forthcoming period. Councillor Brackenbury until last week was Chair of East Northants Council, where she had done a sterling job in promoting the Eastern District of Northamptonshire and its many beautiful towns and villages. I'm confident that Councillor Brackenbury will do us proud in representing our council, and I wish her well in a forthcoming year. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Tye, I think, wanted to second the proposal.
Congratulations on your election as the Chairman of the County Council. I think you'll do an excellent job. I've no hesitation at all in seconding Councillor Wendy Brackenbury. I know that, as Jason has said, she's done a job as the Chairman of East Northants Council, and I'm sure she will give you tremendous.
Thank you very much. If Wendy could come down and accept the chain of office, I ought ought to ask if you accept that first, yes. Those in favour? Thank you. Councillor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. May I be the first to congratulate you on your new position, sir, and I'm sure you'll serve the Council very well. But also I'd just like to thank Councillor Walters, who's obviously just stepped down now, having done a full year there, and I'm sure that we'll all join in the opportunity to thank him for the good support, because quite clearly a divisive and decisive chairman needs to have a strong supporter next to him. Obviously, I wish Wendy well as well in her new position.
Thank you for that. Councillor Eakins.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Madam Vice Chairman. As we're in the mood of congratulations, Mr. Chair, I congratulate you on your election for your next year as Chair, and I'm pretty sure you'll do an excellent job, as your predecessors also have. But, Mr. Chair, may I take this opportunity, while we are congratulating people who receive awards for civil office, may I give my congratulations and make the Cabinet or the committee here, the people here, aware that Councillor Malcolm Waters recently was awarded the Freeman of the Borough of Wellingborough for an excellent service, some 36 years of service to the communities and to the residents of the Borough of Wellingborough. And I actually think, Mr. Chair, if I could be so bold, I think he first started as a school governor at the age of somewhere around about 21, which was pre-decimalisation, pre-everything, I think, even the motor car. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. If we can move on to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 21st of March. The minutes are with you in the pack. Is it the will of the meeting that I sign the minutes? There is an amendment first, I understand. I need to inform members that under the item 2919, the motion submitted by Councillor Pinder Shauhan had in fact altered the text and did not clearly state the Council had accepted the alteration. The copy of the minutes that I signed today has that clearly noted in the text as well as the resolution. Councillor Perry?
Just wanted to say I was marked as absent. I was actually present. Thank you.
Oh, right, okay.
Subject to that further amendment.
Yeah. Subject to that amendment, is it still your wish that I sign the minutes of the meeting? Great, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. We come to the Chairman's announcements as the next part of our agenda, which will be fairly brief because I haven't been here very long, but I want to start by saying a very sincere thank you to Councillor Hughes for proposing me, and equally to Councillor Kilbride for seconding me. I shall try and live up to their expectations and ensure that I am an impartial advocate for everyone in the Council. I believe it's the role of the Chairman to allow all the members to express their views in this chamber. My first task is to thank, on everyone's behalf, Councillor Steve Osborne for his able leadership as chairman throughout the last year. A year in which has been challenging for the whole county council, during which he has represented and explained the actions of the council to a sometimes sceptical public. He has carried this out with a quiet authority and unwavering commitment. We are very grateful for your work. Thank you, Steve. As is customary, I intend to support 2 local charities, and the ones I've chosen are Northamptonshire Young Carers, and this is an established charity that provides much needed help and support to young people involved in looking after mainly their relatives who need support. They're hoping to raise funds for a short break holiday home where carers can enjoy some time away and recharge their batteries. And the other charity that I wanted to support was a charity that supported older people, and that was Northants 50. And it's a charity that provides tangible support to independent, mature residents in the county. It publishes a quarterly magazine, which quite a lot of you have probably seen, provides coach trips, coffee mornings, keep fit classes, computer training, and generally tries to support people, particularly those that are living alone. It was originally part of NCC some many years ago and was run with a full-time staff and an operation based here at the County Hall. It was set free, as they say, years ago, which really meant it was left on its own. But thankfully it has thrived in the last 10 years and managed to support itself and managed to continue to provide those facilities. So I'm very pleased to be able to support those as well. And then finally, my aim during the year is to raise money for these charities with some slightly different activities and to represent NCC throughout what is probably certainly the last full independent year. I will attend as many events as possible throughout the county, and I will keep you up to date with these activities as soon as I know. Thank you very much. We move on to item 9, is the annual address from the Leader of the Council, Councillor Colby.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and can I be one of the first again to congratulate you and Wendy on both of your appointments, and also recognise the contribution that Councillor Osborne made and Councillor Waters has made as Chair and Vice Chair over the past year. Thank you. So, Council, it is, of course, again my honour to stand before you again today as the leader of this great council. We know we've got lots of challenges. Those challenges have been relentless over the last year, but I also accept this role. It is a privilege and indeed an honour to represent this county council. And I have to thank my group for re-electing me as leader this year. And I also want to reaffirm today my commitment to everybody here that I will do my very, very best to promote what is good about this council and do what I can to try and fix what we know needs fixing over the next year. What I talked about last year was putting that challenge to us as elected members to take our responsibility and deal with the challenges that we were facing. And indeed, we are still facing those challenges, but I think we have to acknowledge over the last year we've made significant progress. We've laid a lot of foundations in dealing with our budget, in dealing with the services, but yes, we know we've got some clear challenges, particularly in children's services, and I can assure you that I, Cabinet and all us as Conservative members, and I'm sure across the floor as well, that we are totally dedicated and committed to bringing the services across the council to the best possible state that we could bring them to. The challenge again is still huge, but I have to thank publicly a number of people and bodies today. The first person I want to thank is Cecile Irvine-Swift, who has been the deputy leader over the last year. Cecile, brought quite a few challenges and challenged me. But I thank her for her contribution, especially around how she got stuck into things like the library process, which has been, we all know, a very difficult process. But I also welcome Lizzie, Councillor Lizzie Bowen, as a new deputy leader, and I'm sure we can refresh, reinvigorate ourselves as a leadership team, and we can help, bring everybody together and tackle the challenges again head on. Other people I must thank are the commissioners, who I know are down there today. The wealth of experience and knowledge they've brought to this council in how we're dealing with the challenges is absolutely immense, and I value that, and I value their advice immensely. Also, I've got to mention the staff. The staff of this great organisation have been through a hell of a lot, and we had another atrium address where the chief exec and I spoke to the staff, and we always make a point of thanking them for sticking with us through this very, very difficult time. And we know the challenges continue, but also I have to recognise the contribution of the chief exec and the directors and assistant directors, many of them that are new to the organisation. And I have to say that things are totally different than they were before. The calibre and the quality of the people we have here now is second to none. And some of the other people that have been brought in to help, I go obviously to lots of different places, and I hear all the time that the people that are coming to some of those meetings representing us, talking about how we're meeting the challenges, are absolutely first class, and I have to recognise that. I also have to pick out other authorities, the likes of Lincolnshire, for example. Yesterday we had the Children's Improvement Board, and Lincolnshire are playing a key part in the improvement through the Partners in Practice, and the contribution they're making is again immense and immeasurable. And I said to the Children's Commissioner yesterday, I'm going to write a letter to the leader of Lincolnshire. He knows that we're grateful, but just to reaffirm how grateful we are and recognise how much value they're bringing to this process. Also, there are places like East Midlands Council who always offer help, and the likes of the LGA who have certainly offered me a lot of personal advice and have been there every step of the way in supporting us through financing different little initiatives here and there, different bits of training, or making contributions to how we're all working hard to try and move this place on. So the question and the challenge this year is, what do we want our legacy to be, I think? We know now that we've got 2 years. We had the decision from the Secretary of State last week. So, we've got that commitment that I've just talked about dealing with our finances, dealing with the services. But a part of that, we've got to aspire to do the very best in everything we put in place. We've talked about that shared ambition through the commissioners as well, to put best practice in things like how we implement scrutiny and work the scrutiny process of the council. We want the very best, and the way we report our financial reports, and we've said all the way along through the cabinet system that each time we want these reports to be better and better. So when we do finish and close the door, we all know and we can take comfort in the fact that we've put the very best in place that we possibly can. And of course, the better job we do in all of those elements will have a direct impact on the success of how we go into unitary. So again, as I said, we know we've got 2 years now, and that is a welcome decision. We've talked about needing that decision from the Secretary of State. It gives us clarity and certainty, certainly for our staff, and that's important to give them the message that now we know where we're going. We're working very hard through the chief execs and the leaders group, and Martin knows full well on where the journey we've been on through that as leader of Wellingborough. And we're now looking, rather than a process to get through to 1st of April next year, that we can look at how we transform the whole system of local government, how we can integrate and bring our partners, how we can look to work more closely with health. There are immense opportunities, and we've got to seize them and use this as a once-in-a-lifetime chance to deal with loads and loads of the issues that we're all very familiar with, by putting the residents at the very centre of what we're trying to achieve. And it is an exciting prospect, and I think the future certainly should be bright, and we should look at it as an opportunity rather than something that we should do down and say and talk about the reasons why we shouldn't be doing these things. Another thing I'd like to say is as well the relationships and how we've matured as a set of leaders with the districts and boroughs and with our partners. We've been through some difficult times, but I'm sure, and I know, everybody is focused on what we're trying to deliver. And now we've got the decision, we've got the joint committee in the West in place, and I know the North are going to have their joint committee in place soon. So that infrastructure and that focus is a real determined, systematic approach to how we're going to deliver what is emerging to be a really exciting, good programme for local government in Northamptonshire. And I have to remind everybody about June the 10th, when we've got an all-member briefing at 5:30 in the Covey room, and I think that will be a good opportunity for all of us as members to get an appreciation of where we are and also the implications of the Children's Trust. Again, I've talked about being ambitious, and that has got to be a big theme of what we want for the future of Northamptonshire. One thing I also want to say is, over the last year, strategically, we've perhaps been a bit more inward-looking than perhaps we should have done. But when I've gone to boards, places like SEMLEP, to East Midlands councils, I've had to make no apology for the fact that we've had to look in on ourselves and deal with the crisis that has been a national and indeed an internationally recognised problem here at Northamptonshire. But I'm committed to the likes of SEMLEP, to East Midlands councils, to the Oxford Cambridge Arc, to England's economic heartland, and you can say there's an awful lot to cover there. Should we be bothered with that? And of course we should be. We should be there at the table doing our best, representing Northamptonshire to make sure we don't miss out on infrastructure, on investment and all the opportunities that we are at those tables. So I'm making that pledge that we're going to be out there looking more outward looking on that strategic basis over the next year or so. Okay, so the message this year, I think, is got to be, we'll accept that there's still much to do. And we've talked about, and I talked with our group earlier this week, on the fact that we've got to start all over again. We've got some big challenges. We did well to get to the end of last year. We've made significant progress with the budget, but this year we start all over again, and now we've got to set a budget for 2 years, and that will prove challenging, but we've got the good people on our side, we've got the focus, the determination, the backing, I would hope, of everybody in this chamber today to help us to achieve that. And what I want to put to people as well is that let's start and talk Northamptonshire up. Let's start and talk Northamptonshire County Council up. We know we're critically in children's services. We need social workers. We need people to come here and stay here. So when we're out there, maybe doing interviews or just talking with people, let's talk about how hard we're working to improve the conditions and the environment to allow people to come here, flourish, do a proper job and want to stay here. So I'm going to put that to members today. Let's also recognise how hard we're all working in terms of trying to deal with the services, and so the legacy that we leave is the best we possibly can on behalf of the people of Northamptonshire. Just remind us all again, we've got to start all over again, but I am committed to work with all of you to do the very best for the future and for the public of Northamptonshire. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Councillor Golby. Moving on to item 10 on the agenda is the appointment of committees and political groups. We need to decide on the allocation of places on committees between the political groups in accordance with the political balance requirements of the Local Government and Housing Act. Also on your seats you'll find that there's a comprehensive list of committees and the appointments for the committees. Can I invite Councillor Golby again to propose the report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm very pleased to propose this report, and going back to what I just said, we need to use the skills of everybody in this chamber for the best of this council, so I'm very pleased to propose this report. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor
Thank you, and congratulations to you, Chairman, for your new position. I just wanted to rise on this particular item. Sadly, I now no longer will be on the Pensions Committee, although picking up the leader's point about being on such committees, I was Vice Chairman right the way through until September last year, and despite standing as independent, I was allowed to stay on that committee. I also would like to put praise to Graham Lawman, who for 8 years was my chairman and chairman of that committee. And I really am disappointed because it was completely apolitical for all of that time and something that really stretched my mind and my brain. So I think it's really disappointing. I hark to the leader's points about putting the best people with the most experience on. And it seems sad that we've lost a vice and a chairman of that committee. I sincerely hope that the remit of that committee will still be to leave the politics at the door, which we always protected very, very strongly over that time. And I hope and wish well for the Pensions Committee. No doubt I might even go along, although no one hardly ever does. But thank you to those who put me there,
Thank you very
and I
much
enjoyed
for
it.
that, Councillor Hakewell. As always, you jumped the gun a bit because I couldn't get the phrase in that I needed Councillor Suresh Patel to second the motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'm pleased to second that as outlined in the papers here.
Thank you. Any more comments? Councillor Stamborough.
Thank you, Chairman. One question, one comment. In paragraph 3.3.1 of the report, we're told that the Northamptonshire Joint Planning Committee is subject to political balance, yet in 3.4.3 we're told that the subcommittees for Northamptonshire local government reform are not subject to political balance because they don't cover the whole of Northamptonshire. Wondering what the difference is there, and perhaps somebody can explain why one is subject to political balance and the other one is not. And also, perhaps in 3.4.1, the Northamptonshire Health and Wellbeing Board, we're told that it's not distributed according to political balance and that the council is therefore required to appoint 4 Conservative councillors. I believe the council is not required to do any such thing. We can appoint whoever we see fit. We might end up with 4 Conservative councillors, but we're not required to appoint them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any other comments? Good.
So I can provide an answer if you want to, or I can speak to Councillor Stamborough afterwards.
All of that conversation was that the monitoring officer has got an answer if councillor are interested in listening to it. Otherwise, we can approach Councillor Stamborough afterwards. Are we interested in hearing the answer? Yep. Okay. Monitoring officer.
Okay. These names have so many norths in them that sometimes it's hard to say. But the Northamptonshire Joint Planning Committee is governed by a separate statutory instrument which requires political balance, whereas the other one isn't. And that's the distinguishing feature between the two. I can always pick up with you later on the legislation, Councillor Stamborough, if you'd like to. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Golby, any reply for that?
No, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is it the wish of the council that we approve that recommendation of the committee? Thank you very much. Item 2 of this item, the appointment of committee chairman and deputy chairman. Again, the list is on the chairs, as I've said before, and again, Councillor Golby is going to propose the report.
Very pleased to propose the report, Chair.
Thank you very much. I shan't get it in the wrong order this time because Councillor Patel wants to second it.
Mr. Chairman, pleased to second that.
Thank you very much. Any comments from the council? Can I invite the Council to approve the recommendations? Thank you very much. Then the third item is the names of the leaders of the opposition groups and names of the shadow cabinets. So I invite Bob Scott to notify Council of the names of the leaders and deputy leaders. And it's really remiss of me to say Bob Scott, and I should have said Councillor Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and congratulations on your election and Wendy on her election. And thanks to the previous holders of those offices who have conducted themselves fairly, in my view, over the last year. The names of the leader of the Labour group is myself, and Councillor Stone is the deputy leader. The other positions are as on the committee membership list you have in front of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, I'd like to invite the leader of the minor opposition, Councillor Stamborough.
Thank you, Chairman. Just before I do, I noticed Councillor Gough has a +1 with him today, and I think congratulations are in order, but do it quietly. Okay, so leader of the Liberal Democrat group will be myself, and the deputy leader will be Councillor Meredith. The Liberal Democrat shadow cabinet, I shall be shadowing the finance portfolio, and Councillor Meredith is going to do everything else. Thank you.
Councillor Meredith. Of course, yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to say congratulations to Councillor Brackenbury on her appointment as Vice Chair. I've worked with her on a number of committees, and I've always found her to be very knowledgeable on the committees that she served. And I do always say I give credit where credit is due. And I'll give her credit, and I think she deserves this position, and I wish her well. The other thing, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say is that I am very, very disappointed the way this council is progressing. The reason I say that is because as a backbench councillor, I feel totally disenfranchised with myself not being able to take part in cabinet procedure. And I think the cabinet procedure that has been put in place is absolutely appalling. It doesn't give backbench councillors a chance to make any observations. And that is one of the reasons, Mr. Chairman, why I say that this situation has to change. And I urge Councillor Golby, he is the leader of this council, he has the authority, and he knows how backbench councillors feel on this particular subject. So I urge him to take a stance and to end this ridiculous practice of this cabinet meetings. It's the only chance of backbench councillors representing their residents. If we have a concern, we need to be able to raise that concern at cabinet meetings. So I think, with your indulgence, Mr. Chairman, that I am in the process of doing a petition. Now, this petition will go to everybody in this chamber, and I do hope that some Conservatives will sign this petition. I'm sorry that I have to raise this, but I feel really annoyed that we are put to the back and we're not allowed to speak. We have a role to play, and you as an administration have to realise how important that is. Yeah. So I will be presenting this petition at the next meeting, And I hope that Councillor Golby and his colleagues will take note. Thank you for your indulgence.
Thank you for your comments. It's not really the appropriate time to introduce a petition, but hopefully that will be brought forward at a later stage, and we do know your comments.
The thing is, I do appreciate, and I wanted to say congratulations to you. I have worked with you.
I could have taken umbrage
I have
about
to
that
take
and
these
cut you off even
opportunities
earlier,
when I can.
Yeah. Thank you anyway. Councillor Golby.
Thank you, Chair. I don't think it is the appropriate point to bring that up. And the point Councillor Dennis Meredith makes is about how we engage at Cabinet. It is my decision. It is the meeting of Cabinet. And frankly, the behaviour that Councillor Meredith exhibited at the last Cabinet meeting was despicable. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, is it my wish or your wish that we note those names for the Council? Thank you. Our next item is the appointment of people for outside bodies. So it's item 11. There's an alteration to the report, and that is Councillor Cecile Irvine-Swift will now represent the Council to the East Midlands Reserve Forces and Cadets Association, replacing Councillor Shepherd. Also on the LGA General Assembly and the County Councillor Network, Councillor Cecile Irvine-Smith will be replaced by Councillor Lizzie Bowen, who will also be the substitute member for East Midlands Council. Does the Council agree the amendments? Thank you. I'd like to invite Councillor Suresh Patel to propose the report.
Mr. Chairman, with those changes, please to propose the report.
Thank you. Councillor Ty to second the report.
Chairman, I'm not content to support that.
Thank you very much. Any comments from Council on the report? Anything to reply, Councillor Patel? No. Is it your wish we accept the report? Great, thank you very much. Item 12 is urgent business, which there is none that I have had reported. Item 13, exempt items. Councillor Baker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And like everybody else, I offer you and Councillor Brackenbury congratulations for your new role. And one of your charities, the Young Carers, is exactly the charity that I raised money for when I was chairman of South Northampton. So I understand that charity very well, and it's very worthy. What I want, my urgent business, is that one of our officers, Nikki Eames-Barton, has put together a choir of foster carers and adoptive parents, which has been running for 6 weeks now, so not too great expectations. But we are performing at 12:30 in the atrium today. And I'd also like to thank those members who have donated funds on the Just Giving page for the choir that's enabled us to pay the choir master. So it's a very good bonding organisation for all of our foster parents. They're thoroughly enjoying it, and I do hope that everybody will spare the time to go over there when we finish here today to listen to the choir. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Great. Thank you for letting us know about that. Thank you. That takes us to our last item, exempt items, again of which there's none. Thank you very much for coming and listening to me getting the hang of what to do, and I will see you next time. Thank you.